I founded a school called the Music Box. Again, no knowledge of a marketing strategy, hosting hundreds of private music lessons a week. I wouldn't go back to being a solo teacher. One of the things that helped me the absolute most was I'm Katie Christ, and I founded a school called the Music Box in Lafayette, Louisiana. Like most of us, this music school was not something that was in a plan. It was just really built out of passion for music. I worked in the entertainment industry in California for a very long time before relocating for my husband. And when I landed in Louisiana, I was asked if I'd be interested in preparing a handful of students for voice auditions for an upcoming talent expo that these students would be attending. In a very short period of time, I fell in love with mentoring these young musicians and ended up finishing that school year with a fully booked private lesson schedule of voice students. The next year is when we established the Music Box and I signed my first lease on a commercial space. Over a decade and over a handful of, growing into new locations, we ended up hosting hundreds of private music lessons a week, focusing on the core instruments, voice, piano, guitar, ukulele, and bass. And the Music Box is one of the largest music academies in my area now. I started my music school to fill a demand in our community. Seeing how quickly my private lesson schedule filled up, I realized that there really weren't a lot of options for private voice lessons, particularly. But as I built that community base of my personal students, they would start asking like, hey, where can I take piano lessons? Or do you know of a great guitar teacher? And that's when I knew that it was time for me to kind of broaden our services and to start the hiring process to have more musicians join my team. Prior to selling my school in 2023, I'm going to share what a day in the life of running the Music Box looked like after a decade in business. So over that time span, we had the opportunity to hire a robust administrative team, which included a manager and front desk coordinator. And they really took the day-to-day tasks and sales force off of my plate, allowing me to focus mainly on our marketing, recruitment, and event planning. So in a weekly kind of workflow, I would spend most of the week really just fine-tuning the marketing strategy, making sure that our recruitment efforts were activated, so that we were constantly building our bench, is what we like to call it. So we'd always have substitutes and potential instructors waiting in line for when an opportunity would come available. And then putting, the icing and special sparkle on anything that we'd already had in place, just to continually improve systems and experiences for our business. One of my biggest challenges early on was getting a handle on the marketing. When we're kind of starting these businesses out, and in a lot of cases, it's like just you, a solo teacher, and you organically grow really quickly because you are just so amazing at what you do. There's not as much of a need for a really developed marketing strategy. But as your team grows, your student base grows, the consistency and retention rates start to change. You really do need to have a well-developed and thoughtful marketing strategy. And one of the things that helped me the absolute most was just being a member of Build a Music School. We have this community where we can pop a Facebook ad into a Facebook group and get feedback from our peers. We can show them, now to a group of coaches, which is amazing, to critique and improve before we launch them. But having the community of Build a Music School, but also the modular learning system to really figure out what marketing channels look like. How do I strategically plan this? How do I plan this around different seasons where we have immense growth? Those tools really, really changed the game for me and helped me to become an expert in it. When I decided that I wanted to create a business out of, my experience as a solo voice teacher, the first thing that I did was find a commercial space. Then I came up with a name for my business. My husband created the sweetest little logo, and I opened up a Yahoo account that was just the business name instead of a personal email account. We did not even have a website. I had no idea what I was getting into, but it really just goes to show that it doesn't matter how small you start. the sky is the limit and you just have to get started somewhere. One of the biggest mistakes that I made early on was just with hiring and having no understanding of pay scales or fair market price for music educators in my area. I assumed that, they would just offset the rent because, hey, I was making my money teaching, and thought that they would retain students as I would, and had, again, no knowledge of a marketing strategy or what that would cost. So I had to learn the hard way. But I do think those lessons are the most impactful in growing you as an entrepreneur. And luckily, we now have the BAM Squad and all of its resources to hopefully avoid some of those harder, expensive lessons. A piece of advice that I would give to someone that was opening their music school today is to give yourself grace. Going from a solo teacher, and in most cases, that's what happens when we create these music schools, or just saying you're going to dive in and create a music school, there's going to be a lot of lessons learned, and a lot of mistakes made. And it is just part of the process. It makes your business uniquely yours, and that, you can't get everything right all the time the first time. So just give yourself a little bit of grace in the process, and don't forget to have fun while you're doing it. On a final note, one of the most impactful things that helped me make progress and learn lessons more quickly in my business was being a member of the BAM Squad. Having a community and a plentiful learning system that I could study at my own pace and implement at my own pace just made all the difference in the world, gave me direction, and just encouraged me, through the process of building my music school. I wouldn't go back to being a solo teacher. There is no way that I personally would have had the same impact on the small group of people that I would have been able to reach had I not had the courage to take that step and open a business. It's just beautiful to see the number of people that the organization has been able to impact. And I'm really proud to say that, that stemmed from my passion for music. One piece of advice that I would have loved to have had early on was to just trust myself and to be willing to invest in my business. I think it's really hard, at those early stages to know, like, can I afford this administrative staff? Can I afford, this new piano? Can I afford business coaching? Like, whatever it is, just knowing that you need to invest in yourself and you need to invest in your business for it to grow, and that, to trust when you know that it's time that you need those resources. If you're a music teacher and you're thinking about creating a business out of your passion for music education, my best advice is to join us here at the BAM Squad. Truthfully, there are no better resources. Somehow you found us for a reason, but we can lighten the load. We can help you learn different things that you don't even know you need to learn to make the process of building your business run more smoothly. So excited for you to be here, and hope to see y'all real soon.